So if you're looking for your just one more deal, man, if you could get one more deal per month, you would be really happy. This is the episode for you. What's up, FlowChat fam? Chris Bain, CEO, co-founder of FlowChat, and we have a spotlight, a special spotlight today. Mr. Lorenzo, how's it going?
Hey, Chris, fabulous. So glad to be here. Love you guys.
Yes, excited to connect with you. You're looking tan as always at the beach. The famous beach background. So we'll get right into it, and everyone listening, watching this now, later in the episode, we're going to get to learn more behind the scenes of what takes place with Lorenzo. But if you're tuning in here because you want to see how to get just one more deal per month and then build on that, well, we've got a great use case for you here with Lorenzo. Lorenzo, everyone's listening, watching, eyes are on you. You know, who and how did this take place?
Yeah. So first of all, Chris, without FlowChat, leads don't happen anymore, right? So it's the coolest tool ever. So what we have is I've got the business where I'm helping coaches and others build their business. So in the lead space, we have to figure out how do we get people into the door so that we can have people to know, like, and trust. So we have a client, Erin Lay, our now mutual client, and Erin's a coach. She's a cancer survivor. She's a lovely human being, and she's got a product and a vision about how you get true and aligned with what your business is all about. And she does that through process and techniques and getting really focused on being the best you can be, but also creating your own self-awareness so that you actually go stand up in your own power and do what you need to do. Well, she does that in courses. She does it in classes. So Erin said, I need help. I said, all right, great. What does that look like? She says, well, number one, I have 3 kids and I want to stay local. So what we had to do is we take the FlowChat and say, well, how do we help a coach who only wants to work in New York? So we said, all right, well, let's focus on Long Island. Let's focus on real estate. Let's focus on personal development. And so we did. Within 2 weeks of building the wonderful pipeline that our friends Chris and Sean built this one. And within 2 weeks, we had her first deal. She had her first level of excitement. She's got 10 or 20 different conversations, 10 or 20 different meetings that already happened. Inside of 2 weeks, it all happened. And literally from the time 2 weeks before we started to 2 weeks in, so that's 30 days, she's got 10 plus conversations, closed her first deal, and now we're building a regular monthly routine. So go, fight, win. It was awesome. And she's a great human being. So what do you expect?
She is, and she's on a mission, and rightfully so. I appreciate you sharing that story. It's really powerful, because our idea is simply to help people just talk to more people, but not just anyone, the right people. And when that takes place, it's insane. More sales just happen. So Lorenzo, it's awesome. But now this isn't just you using FlowChat. This is like you using FlowChat to serve clients and have clients jump on and use it. Talk to us a little bit about what that's like, because a lot of people listening, watching will just end up using this internally, but there's more service-based businesses listening and watching this content. So what could FlowChat mean for their agency?
Well, first of all, we are a digital marketing agency at our core. So the first step of FlowChat is to create the lead system, but there's a step before that, which we'll get into a little bit later. I'm super excited about Amy product. But really the reality is you need a system or solution that takes from point A to point B in the customer lifecycle. Well, FlowChat is the beginning of that CRM, that beginning of the customer contact, and to create that know, like, and trust. And so what we love about that is we have served lots of industries, network marketing, personal development, just brick and mortar. And we serve all these different players. And so they have a different way to connect. And so FlowChat gives us the chance to say, hey, how could we help you? How could we serve you? And start the conversation slowly. And one of the things I heard you say months ago is build relations. Because at the end of the day, FlowChat is a relationship builder tool set. And so for clients to create sustainability, the number one cost in business is acquiring clients. The number one cost inside of a business is managing people and employees. And the number one cost outside of that is keeping your customers and retaining them. So if you look at those 3 pieces and the elements, FlowChat's the beginning of that. It's kind of the middle. And it's also a little bit at the end because you want to maintain relationships because you have established a relationship with an existing customer. Now you can nurture them by flowing and chatting to say, hey, how can we help you? How can we help your clients? So it really is a domino impact if you think outside the box and think a little differently, which is how we think.
You absolutely do. And everyone's going to get to hear a little bit more about that. So you've implemented FlowChat as a digital agency, but in any digital agency, content is a really important thing. And it can be very time consuming. You got to create the content calendar and what makes sense to post. And then you got to actually execute on that. You have to create the creative, the imagery, or video or the copy or all the things. There's full-on marketing agencies that only focus on content production, and then there's what you guys do. So, what is Amy, Lorenzo?
Yeah. So Amy, AIMI, stands for Artificial Intelligence Marketing Interface, right? So Amy basically designs, builds, creates, posts, and monitors, and then does the analytics behind your social media posting on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and so on, and then soon coming video. But really what's most important is people get stuck on how to create content. But the lead in to what happens with FlowChat is when people, so one of the things I teach in my business models is people look you up, they research you well before you actually ever have that conversation, right? Think about that. Think
Sure.
about your audience right now. And so what we're doing, even with FlowChat, we're reinvestigating or investigating using a platform to see, hey, should we have a chat? Is there a reason we should have a chat? Makes sense. Well, people are doing that. Just take a step back. If you're not constantly posting, if you're not making yourself available, if you're not showing engagement socially, and people want to do business with you, they're going to say, well, they're not even active, right? So it's one of the criteria in our questions in FlowChat. So do you know that the #2 search engine in the world is YouTube and Facebook? Okay, search engine. So Facebook, if you're not posting on Facebook right now, you're missing an opportunity, especially local. So what we do is solve that problem. We make yourself available, and we can do thousands of posts, build them in 30 to 40 seconds, and you get to choose which of those posts show up: colors, mantras, like ideas, tone, sentiment, all of that. So we're simply trying to help the beginning of creating marketing content as a part of a digital agency. Then we start flowing, and then we start creating relations, and then we start selling if appropriate. So really the relationship we have now with you and Sean at FlowChat is just a marriage made in heaven. So we're super excited. So we're the front end content guys, but more coming, right? More coming.
Totally. Is it fair to say, like, Amy on the content side, is it's almost like a split testing tool, kind of like you can, hey, like, here's some content, here's some imagery, you give it some guidelines, and then it just like spits out like all this variation.
It does. Yeah. So one of the things that we built, so just so you know, this is like we're education. How do we help people understand? So you cannot use AI to automatically create posts and post them on the social media platforms. AI has to be used differently. So if I was to use AI and create a whole bunch of posts that aren't authentic, that aren't real, that don't make sense, that's against the rules of these social platforms. So what we've done with Amy, right, again, artificial intelligence marketing interface, is created these templates or building blocks, much like a pipeline, and we put them all together. And so you get skins and colors and tonality and all of that. We bring them and mix them and match them together, so that you get a variety, so that your posts don't look the same. They're different tonality, they're different messages, they're different words. More importantly, they're different calls to action by campaign. And so you're creating a whole plethora of education, a whole plethora of posts, whole questions of I've got events. And so it's all of that mixed bag of things you need to do as a business. Well, Amy does all of that for you.
That's crazy. Time, effort, labor, money, in order to produce and redistribute a bunch of content. Anyone listening, watching this, like, there's got to be somebody with me
right
on the pain of creating. We're creating content right now. We're doing content right now, and how to, the teams and systems that have been put together to repurpose everything. It's crazy. Okay, so this is on the content side.
Yeah.
But you're also, being a digital agency using FlowChat, there's this relationship between content and communication.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to us about that gap, right? So we create content, content's out there. People start engaging with the content. Where does FlowChat come into the picture for you guys on your side?
Yeah. So FlowChat is, once we have our presence, right? So Amy becomes the marketing presence on all the platforms. When people look us up, they find us, right? Or they find our clients, which is really the important part. And then FlowChat comes into place because now we're connecting with the right audience based on the right criteria at the right time in their desire to be engaged. So the chat concept is, it's like you and I just saying, hey, Chris, are you interested in something, right? Sean hooked me by chatting me up. He, of course, that was an introduction, but he chats me up, and we had a nice chat. And up until I didn't realize up front, it was like he was just working the pipeline. And then when we started chatting, and I said, dude, get me on a phone call, right? But that was the beginning. So we had a nice engagement. We created relations, and I said, no, this guy's interested. He's fun. He's funny. He's engaging. And I think that's really what you're bringing to the market. Once we create the content, is we're creating a unique way to connect. We're creating a unique way to communicate. And then we've established the relationship, because once you've established the foundation of a relationship, which FlowChat does, now you have a reason to say, hey, ask the difficult questions. Like, are you okay? Or is this really working for you? Are you really, doing the right job? Is this the right place for you? And because you've created a trusting relationship. And so I love, that's the gap that we solve for. So again, if you haven't heard me say it at the top of the call, we're creating relations, but it's really authentic. And you come across in your chats, and then you have what we call, off sequence or offline chats. And we're really trying to connect just like you would do in a normal day-to-day routine.
Keeping it conversational. People don't buy from bots is the pattern or trend. So no, it's so true. Okay, so we have this relationship between content and communication and how they work together. I think that those phrases have been used quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And it's everyone's got their style or their approach. What's been your experience of because you're on the inside. Like, you see us talk about this stuff all the time. You see all the different pipelines and copy that we write, Sean and myself and the team. And so, why is this different?
Well, I think the most important reason that it's different is because it's authentic, right? Because when you're finally in conversation, and whether you're building up to a group or you're building up to a meeting, you're building up to a seminar or a webinar, you eventually say, oh, this is real. And so what makes it real is when you start having that dialogue in those meetings, and you say, we're really trying to be serious. So the culture, one of the greatest things I learned in my master's program is the culture of an organization starts at the top. So if you're part of the FlowChat community, you know that the culture is Chris and Sean, and that their authenticity and their desire to help and to serve, it permeates all of us. Right now, I've kind of had that heart-based business as well. One of the things we first chatted about was, how do we make money to help charity? But we're also servant leadership. As if we find a way to help and support first, then that's what FlowChat does. It gives us the entry point to say, how can I serve you? Right. And I think that conversation is what separates everybody else using FlowChat and how people show up in your community. I just want to help serve you. Right. It's not the sale, it's the service. Be of service. And I think love that about the community. And that's why I'm all in, and why I've been here for a year.
That's true.
So folks, I paid for a year, and I'm still here, and I'm loving it more than ever.
We're grateful for you, Lorenzo, for being a part of the community and coming out here just to talk about some of the stuff you're working on in FlowChat a little bit. Before we get to the last question, people that are leaning in, they're like, wow, content really is a problem for me. I would like to hear more about Amy. Where's the best place to find you?
Well, the greatest part about that is we're on the web like everybody else. So there's two things. For me personally, you can text me or chat me up directly at 949-300-1117. So a little bit of a pimp, but I give you my cell phone number because 949-300-1117, and I will connect you as appropriate. But more importantly, Amy Social, Amy, AIMI, social.com, our website. Go check it out. Find out what's good. Look at the demo. You sign up. Guess what? You sign up, you're going to get connected into FlowChat, and we're going to connect with you on FlowChat. And oh, by the way, integrated systems, that's a concept. So
you got those set up. So all right. So from more Lorenzo, he is one of the first ones, or one of the few at minimum, to drop cell phone number. So hit him. I hope everyone knows. I think it's fantastic. I think everyone please text him and blow him up. That will be entertaining to me for some reason.
Exactly.
No, so I appreciate it. You're always putting yourself out there to make direct connections. Okay, so what's something that I ask on all these conversations, and it always interests me. High performance is always interesting to me. Someone that consistently puts themselves out there. Mm-hmm. To if it's an athlete, if it's an actor, artist, Apparently, all of the titles have to start with an A. If you're an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
if
Action based.
you're,
Yeah, exactly. You're all
yeah,
action.
I don't entrepreneurs in leaders, there's a certain level of vulnerability that comes with those titles at high levels.
Mhm.
You're putting yourself out there. It's very high performance driven culture, and it takes a certain personality and person to persevere and keep leaning and pushing into that.
Mhm.
When you're on this podcast, you're very entrepreneurial, and so you are that person. Why? What drives you, Lorenzo? Why put yourself through all that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is another question, another answer for a different time. But in human design, I do a lot of modalities: hand analysis, lunar astrology, namology science, all these modalities about who you are as a person. Bank code, right? Codebreaker Technologies. All these companies are basically who you are as a person. What has formulated me, and at the simplest answer I can give you in human design, is I am a systems-based manifester. So manifestor, look it up. Human design, look up manifestor. I'm a 5-1 manifestor. You read about that and you're like, he can't help himself, right? So it literally, that's the answer to your question. So it's who I'm designed to be. It's how I'm supposed to show up. But one of the greatest things in life, and we all have them, is parents. My parents were fabulous human beings, and my family and my relatives were fabulous human beings, and they always were there to help. So I learned by the examples of others that if you can be there to help and support other people, then eventually good things will happen. So for
Mm.
me, that's just been my mantra. How do I help? How do I serve? How do I support? And I have a big heart and I have a big idea of how to help people. And so I'm here to do that. Last but not least, and this is a little bit TMI, but I wanted to tell people, understand, when 33 years ago, my oldest daughter was diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
Okay. And she was in the hospital. I built my first $1 million business from the hospital, people. $1 million business. It grew, blew up, and eventually be part of a company, went public. My same daughter, who's now going to foster children to adopt on Friday, adoption court date on Friday, this Friday, she works at the same hospital. She's an oncology nurse. My life has been receiving and giving with wonderful human beings. Some name drops: Lance Armstrong, Will Ferrell, Greg Norman, Tiger Woods. All these people have come into my life because we've been a beneficiary of philanthropic organizations. So my life's journey through all of this is not only to help people in business, but help people thrive in helping others. So it is a culture and a character that has just formed me based on my life's journey. And we all have one. And I'm just blessed to have been able to find a way to use it for good. And I appreciate the guys at FlowChat because you guys are doing it for good too.
Absolutely. Lorenzo, that was very well said, and I appreciate you so much for coming out.
Yeah, it's a pure joy for you guys. I love you and appreciate your entire team. You're great human beings. I can't wait to flow some more. See you soon.
And for all FlowChat fam members, thank you also for spending your time with us, listening, watching today. We will continue to crank out amazing content on the spotlight. These are real entrepreneurs just like you and me on the front lines, getting real results for real companies, sharing more insights of how, best practices and how to get it done. So we'll see you guys on the next one.